Alright. Hopefully this video doesn't take that long, because I should go to sleep soon. But oh boy, we have just witnessed Carlos Alcaraz lose his first match of the 2026 season after winning the first 16 matches of his season, getting off to a 16-0 start, winning back-to-back titles in the Australian Open and in Doha. That made it 12 matches in a row that he won. And then he won 4 matches at this tournament in Indian Wells, until he was just defeated today in the semifinals against the 11th ranked player in the world, Daniil Medvedev, whom, as we all know, is a Grand Slam champion at the 2021 US Open. He won his only Grand Slam. And today, we saw why he is a Grand Slam champion. Because in the past week or two, he has actually been playing some of the best tennis of his career. So he is now on a 10 match or 9. He is now on a 9 match winning streak, and he has now won 18 sets in a row. I said this in the last video where I said he had won 16 sets in a row, I believe. He won 4 matches in Dubai on his way to winning the title because he didn't have to play the final. Italian Greek sport, his opponent withdrew with an injury, so he won his 4 matches there, all in straight sets to win the title. And now he has won 5 matches here at this tournament in Indian Wells to make that 10 more sets, to make that 18 sets in a row he has won. He has won all of his matches in straight sets, including today against the best player in the world, Carlos Alcaraz. And he has now won 9 matches in a row. So, Carlos Alcaraz, his winning streak ends at 16 matches in a row. He is now 16-1 in 2026. So actually, his winning streak ended up being exactly the same as Jannik Sinner's winning streak 2 years ago in 2024, where Sinner also won the first 16 matches he played in 2024. He won the Australian Open, which was his first Grand Slam title, and then he won the tournament in Rotterdam to make that a 12-0 record on the year. Then he won 4 matches in Indian Wells until he lost the semifinals to Carlos Alcaraz, making that his first loss of the 2024 season, making his record 16-1. So both of these two guys have ended their streaks in the exact same way, in the semifinals in Indian Wells. Look, guys, Alcaraz was getting hyped to, I don't even know what to say, hyped to high heaven, or however you will say this. People were saying he will win the calendar slam. Of course, that is technically still possible, but I am not predicting that will happen. And a few idiots, I will not even take them seriously, were saying he will go undefeated in the year. But that is not, I will not take that seriously, because that is not most people who were saying that. But he was getting hyped like there was no tomorrow. And while this hype was going on, I was thinking to myself, Jannik Sinner did the exact same thing 2 years ago. Exactly the same. 16 matches in a row to start the year. And he lost right after that. So, Alcaraz has not surpassed Sinner's best start to the season. He has equaled it, as per the tennis script. I did look in a previous video. I think this is after. I said this after Alcaraz won the Doha title. I said he will lose sometime in Indian Wells or Miami, or I said either Indian Wells or Miami, or I said and or. But I said he will lose sometime during the Sunshine Double, either at both tournaments or at one of them. He will not win the Sunshine Double. I did not think he would win the Sunshine Double. I said he will lose sometime at Indian Wells or Miami. Or I said either or I said and or. Either way, I was correct. He has now lost here at Indian Wells. I did not think that he was going to lose today, as you could all clearly see in my semifinals prediction video that I made yesterday, 2 days ago, whatever. I predicted Medvedev to lose today, but I still did say, even before that video, because this was after the Doha final, I said that Alcaraz will lose sometime at Indian Wells or Miami. So I knew that he would not win the Sunshine Double, and he proved me correct today, even though I did not think that this would be the match he would lose. But today, Medvedev showed why he is a Grand Slam champion. Although, to be fair, I didn't really pay that much attention to the match because I had people at my house. But even so, whoever stopped Alcaraz at this point on his 16-match winning streak has to be commended, because you can never say that he was in bad form when he had won 16 matches in a row. And he was showing no signs of injury or anything like that. At least not that I know of. I didn't see anything in the little bit of the match that I paid attention to. So, Alcaraz will not win the Sunshine Double. It is impossible now. It is theoretically possible for him to win the Calendar Slam, but I do not think he will do it. People were hyping him, which I could see why. But he had not even surpassed. They were maybe hyping him a little too much, because he did not even surpass Jannik Sinner's win streak. Did the exact same thing from 2 years ago, like I was saying. So we had literally saw this exact same thing happen, exactly the same 2 years ago. 16 matches in a row to start the year, loses in semifinals of Indian Wells. And now we can see how absolutely insane Novak Djokovic's 41-0 start to the year was when he did that 15 years ago in 2011. He won his first 41 matches of the year. Now you could see even more how absolutely insane that is. But now let us talk a little bit about Jannik Sinner. Jannik Sinner has now reached the final of Indian Wells for the first time in his career. He has not lost a single set on his way to the final, just like Medvedev. Medvedev has also not lost a single set on his way to the final here. As I said, he is now on an 18-set winning streak. And did not lose a set in this tournament or in his previous tournament in Dubai. Jannik Sinner, whom some Sinner fans especially maybe, they were freaking out at Sinner's start to the year because he played 2 tournaments in the entire year and he didn't win either of them, and he didn't even reach the final. He lost in the semifinals of the Australian Open, and then he lost in the quarterfinals in Doha. And some people were saying, what is happening to Sinner? I missed this Sinner from the year-end finals in Turin last year. Oh, Sinner is now falling off. The big two will become the big one. Sinner is becoming too predictable. What is happening to Sinner? These people were actually thinking that Sinner had somehow fallen off, or were wondering what happened to Sinner, like it was a different player somehow, because he lost 2 matches. 2 matches! He lost 2 matches in the entire year. He played 2 tournaments, and he didn't win either of them. And people were freaking out because he played 2 tournaments. He lost 2 matches. This is how good, how consistent Jannik Sinner has been over the past 2 years. That now when he plays 2 tournaments and doesn't reach the final in either of them, people will start freaking out and they say, "What happened to Sinner?" Now we could see from this tournament, we could see in Indian Wells that nothing has happened to Sinner. He is the same Sinner that has been in the last 2 years. He has not lost a single set here in Indian Wells. And now he's in the final. So it took him 3 tournaments this year to reach a final, instead of the first tournament of the year like it was in the past 2 years when he won the Australian Open. So has this become a different Sinner? Has this become a washed Sinner? No. He is already in the final without dropping a set. The exact same Sinner that we all know and expect. So people were really overreacting. People will overreact to anything in the tennis community and maybe in general. But Sinner's not going anywhere for the time being. He is perfectly fine. He has won all his matches in straight sets. So, and now he is in another big final. And who did he lose to in the matches that he lost this year? Who are the players that he lost to? He lost the Australian Open semi-final to the greatest tennis player of all time, Novak Djokovic. And then he lost the Doha quarterfinals to one of the best young players on the tour, who already won a title in the beginning of the year, Jakub Mensik, who was also having a great serving day, redlining on his serve. When a player does that, no matter who it is, you can easily lose. So he did not even have bad losses. He wasn't even losing to low-ranked players, lower quality players. He lost to the greatest player of all time, and then he lost to one of the best players, one of the best young players on tour who already won a title. So it's not even like he had bad losses. He didn't have any bad losses. So, and people were freaking out. But enough about that. So now, instead of the final that most people probably expected, myself included, which was, of course, would be Alcaraz versus Sinner, we instead have Medvedev versus Sinner. And I am of course happy that Alcaraz lost, because I did predict that he was going to lose sometime at Indian Wells or Miami or both. And I also don't want him to break any of Djokovic's records, or at least not a lot of them. So I'm happy that he did not get. He still had very far off to breaking Djokovic 41-0 start to the season. That will be extremely difficult for anybody to break. It can happen, but that was just insane. I don't know who will break that, or if that will be broken. Because lately, we have not even seen people get past. The majority of the time, we don't see anybody even get past Indian Wells without losing a match. Some people usually, when they have an undefeated start to the year, they usually lose sometime Indian Wells, if not earlier. So I can't even remember a player who has actually made it past Indian Wells while being undefeated for the year and having played before that as well in the Australian Open and probably at least one other tournament. I can't even remember another player who has done that in recent years. Maybe there has been somebody, but I don't know. So I am happy that Medvedev got this win. But I will say that if the final were Alcaraz versus Sinner, it would probably be more interesting than Medvedev versus Sinner. Because, yes, Medvedev defeated Alcaraz, and he is playing some of the best tennis of his career. But do I think that he will now go on and defeat Sinner? No, I don't think so. Even though he has won 18 sets in a row, 9 matches in a row, I still do not think he will defeat Sinner. And here's why I cannot bring myself to predict him to defeat Sinner. Medvedev started his head-to-head against Sinner, winning the first 6 matches. So he had a 6-love head-to-head against Jannik Sinner. Up to Miami 2023, which was about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago. I mean, almost exactly 3 years ago, sorry. Since then, he has lost 8 of the last 9 matches against Jannik Sinner. And more than so Medvedev's last win against Jannik Sinner was in Wimbledon 2024 in the quarterfinal. But more than that, so Sinner has won the last 8 of 9 matches against Daniil Medvedev. More than that, all the 8 matches that Sinner won against Medvedev were on hard courts. So this means that Sinner has defeated Medvedev the last 8 times they have played on hard courts. And the last time that Medvedev defeated Sinner on a hard court was in the match I just said, in the Miami 2023 final, which was almost 3 years ago. Almost exactly 3 years ago. So when you have a player that has been defeating another player 8 times in a row on a surface and has not lost on that surface to that player in 3 years, how can I possibly say that Daniil Medvedev will defeat Jannik Sinner? Of course, I didn't think, like most people didn't think, that Medvedev would defeat Carlos Alcaraz. But it was not as dominant a head-to-head in recent years as it has been with Sinner, actually. Because they have not played, Medvedev and Alcaraz has not played as many times on hard courts. So the last time that Medvedev defeated Alcaraz on hard courts was also 3 years ago, in the US Open 2023, so maybe more like 2.5 to 3 years ago. But still. But they did not play 8 times on hard courts in the past 3 years. They played maybe like half of that. Like 4 times or something. So, and that is still enough for someone to think that Medvedev will lose, which most people did, myself included. But that is not as bad as losing the last 8 times on the surface, which Medvedev has done to Sinner on hard courts. So because of that, I just can't possibly say that Medvedev will now go and defeat Sinner. However, I will give him a chance to take 1 set. Because he has won those 18 sets in a row, those 9 matches in a row. And he did just have this big win that we did not expect. So I will give him a chance to take 1 set. Maybe he can win a set in a tiebreak or something. But if he does not win a set, I will not be surprised at all. Because he has lost the last 8 matches on hard courts against Jannik Sinner. Some of them in straight sets. He has taken some sets here and there. Like at the Australian Open in 2024, at the US Open in 2024. But he has lost the vast majority of the sets on hard courts, of course. So I will pick Jannik Sinner to win this final in 3 sets and to win his first title of the 2026 season. Finally, it took him 3 entire tournaments. It took him 3 entire tournaments to reach a final and probably win the title. Wow, guys, he's clearly washed. His career is over. He lost twice in 2 tournaments before the final. His career is clearly over, guys. So yes, I will pick Sinner to win this title at Indian Wells in 3 sets.